Nordic nations hail new U.S. defense pacts as historic step amid Russian threat.
Here's a summary of the article.
The defense and foreign ministers of Finland, Sweden, and Denmark have penned a joint op-ed hailing their new respective bilateral military cooperation agreements with the United States as a historic step, demonstrating security consensus in Northern Europe amid the Russian threat. That our three countries have now, over the course of 15 days, signed bilateral defense cooperation agreements with the USA is a natural continuation of this development and an important step in our purposeful adaptation to changed security policy conditions, wrote the Nordic officials in gp.se. The ministers said Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine represented a breaking point for European security that necessitated Finland and Sweden's decision to pursue NATO membership. We stand for a long-term, clear-sighted, and realistic Russia policy, which is based on a credible deterrence and defense capability. We hope that Russia develops in a peaceful and democratic direction, but must assume, and prepare for, that the country will pose a threat to us for a long time to come, they argued. The officials contended the new defense pacts will facilitate early and effective U.S. military assistance in a deteriorating situation, with an American presence acting as a deterrent. The agreements strengthen security for both our countries and the United States, and for our Nordic and Baltic neighboring countries. They are applicable bilaterally, but will also facilitate NATO's defense planning and contribute to strengthening the alliance as a whole. This is of central importance to us, the ministers wrote. In December, Sweden, Finland, and Denmark signed a bilateral defense cooperation agreement that will allow the U.S. military to deploy its troops on their territory.
This post received a score of 3,700, with an upvote ratio of 97%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
Good that there are assurances, given that Erdogan is playing games with Sweden's NATO membership. Sweden having separate defense pacts with its Nordic allies as well as the US, on top of the fact that Finland is a NATO member, probably does a great deal while the membership is pending Erdogan's whims.
Say they attacked our electrical systems and our electricity went down during like last week when it was -43°C up north. I ordered a camping stove yesterday that I'll have an emergency plywood window mount for. If it happens, at least my house would be a warm place to gather for me and the neighbors. If you think I'm going to extreme, buying an emergency heating is actually what our Swedish government is asking us to do officially.
If I'm not mistaken, there's literally no way for Russia to actually approach Sweden without anyone noticing, right? Sure, it has Karelia and Murmansk, but they don't border Sweden at all. If it were to go above and approach from the north, it has to contend with the Arctic waters, and still has to move through NATO. It can't, as you mentioned, use the Baltics, because Finland, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania are NATO and would be on red alert as soon as a boat departed St. Petersburg. This is also without remembering that US satellites can see the size of your tires from outer orbit. They can definitely see a ship. The fact that Five Eyes knows what Russians are going to have for lunch before said Russians even wake up.
Let's also point out that NATO is significantly better equipped, better trained, and better organized than Ukraine, which Russia is struggling to defeat with almost 3x the number of personnel and have already lost so many tanks it has been digging deep into cold storage to activate Soviet tanks. Good luck provoking a larger conflict with a NATO member that would also draw in the US and the 29 other nations of the alliance.
The risk with NATO vs Russia is not Russia somehow winning, but that a bloody stalemate occurs which the Western nations absolutely won't accept, and the Russians will just carry on mindlessly. When the first 10,000 dead Spaniards come home in coffins, and their economy is tumbling because of the war, is Spain gonna say, "Fuck no," and just pull back their forces? What about Germany? What about the Netherlands? What if the US elects Trump and he pulls out as well? Would they all still commit to defending Sweden, or Latvia, which is so far away from home? The political and economic chaos that such a war will bring is far more impactful than pure military defeat, and Russia has the tools to inflict damage of all those types on us. Why spend billions on state-of-the-art military, when you can buy the president for a couple million, and some politicians for a couple thousand?
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.